Hello, I'm Tina Fisher, the principal at Washington PreK Center in Ponca City. Many of you that are tuning in, this will be your child's first experience at school, and for several of you, this is your first experience as a Ponca City Public Schools family. So, we want to let you know that the safety and well being of your child is our top priority. And I want to share with you some of the safeguards that we plan to implement this coming school year to keep your children safe. We know that relationships are crucial, especially in early childhood education. Your involvement is critical to your child's success. We will host a Meet Your Teacher night, a little bit different this year prior to starting. The event will be outside to allow for social distancing. And at that time, we will tag your child's backpack with a color-coded tag that has the teacher's name on it. This is really important for those first few days as we make sure students locate their class. So watch for those details as school gets a little closer so we can make sure and plan to attend that event. I'm going to go through the school day and a couple of things that are involved with that. So to begin the day, children will enter the building at various doors. We will do this to allow for social distancing so not too many kids are funneling through the same door. The door your child enters through will be determined by their class. We want students to not have to travel very far from the entrance to their class, so that's how we're going to do that. So you won't know what door until Meet Your Teacher night or until you've determined what class your child will be in. If they eat breakfast or come to school early, they will go through a separate door. Regardless of which door they use, students' temperature will be checked at the door by a staff member. We ask that parents wait with their child for the temperature screening. If it is 100 degrees or higher, we will ask that you go ahead and take your child with you. Once we have established that their temperature is cleared for entrance, an adult will help them get to class. And once we get in kind of a routine of doing this regularly, to kind of speed up the process, we will do some at-home health screenings, and we'll just select a small group of students to do that. And what we'll ask of you is that you check your child's temperature, check for sore throat, runny nose, different symptoms like that, and you'll just check that for us before the child comes in the building. So we won't start that right away. During the school day, at any time students are in the hallway, appropriate social distancing will be practiced. Throughout the day, students will remain with their class with the exception of any pull-out special services. For example, at recess and at lunch, classes will stay together. They will not mix with another class. So even when they're playing outside, they're only with their class. Even at lunch, they're just with their class. We are going to avoid large group gatherings such as assemblies, events. Assemblies will either be live streamed or pre-recorded. So while in the classroom, students will be spaced to allow for appropriate social distancing. Teachers are planning on using floor space as much as possible, as well as table spaces to keep students apart. Some examples may be if it's time to do something on the carpet, maybe only half the students are on the carpet and the other half may be at desks or tables. While we're working on an assignment, students may use the floor and a lap desk or a clipboard while other students are at a table. For students receiving special services outside of the classroom, groups will typically be smaller than 5. Teachers may wear a face covering for extra protection during that session, and within the session, students will be appropriately spaced for social distancing. For recess, we will utilize several playground spaces to allow for classes to play separate from another class. Like I mentioned before, students are going to remain with their class, so they will not play with another class on the structure. Another class might be outside, but in a separate area. So we're going to utilize all different zones of the playground. Once a group has finished playing, students will enter through different doors. Depending on their door, students will have to wash their hands, and then equipment is going to be sanitized. We will allow students to use the gym by class. We will have a gym schedule that only allows one class at a time in the gym. Again, any equipment will be sanitized, and students' hands will be sanitized before returning to class. For meals, both breakfast and lunch will be served in the cafeteria. Students will be appropriately spaced while in line and at the checkout desk. During lunch, 2 classes will be able to sit in the cafeteria appropriately spaced, while a 3rd class sits either in the gym or outside under a covered patio, weather permitting. And this seating schedule will rotate. For restrooms and hydration, all classrooms have a restroom within the room. So students will only be permitted to use the classroom restroom. A restroom cleaning schedule will be implemented to allow the bathroom to be frequently cleaned. Teachers may choose to distribute water uniquely to their class. They may have a water cooler, they may use water bottles, they may ask parents to provide a water bottle. Regardless of what they decide to do, we will not be using water fountains this school year. And we will make sure your child is hydrated throughout the day. For the health and wellness of our students and employees, we have several things that we are implementing. One being a daily cleaning schedule for the classrooms. Students will not share supplies. They will have access to individual supplies such as their own pencil, Play-Doh, or other tools. If at any time a student has to share something, it will be cleaned after each use. For example, a student may be using blocks to build or create. After they've used them, they will be cleaned before the next child uses them. We do encourage the use of face coverings, but it is not required that students wear a face covering all day. Teachers may wear face coverings at times, and especially at times when social distancing may not be feasible, such as when students are coming in the door in the morning, or when the teacher's working next to a student or a small group of students. She may choose to wear a face covering at that time. If your child becomes ill or has a fever during the school day, we have a nurse's station in our office where we can isolate your child until they've been picked up. The nurse's station does allow for your child to be supervised while still being safe. At the end of the day, students will dismiss from the same door they entered from, unless it's the breakfast or the early arrival door. For dismissal, parents will be asked to form a line using appropriate social distancing, and will have spaces marked. We will use a contactless sign-out procedure so that students being signed out are accounted for, but you don't have to sign anything. Dismissal times will be staggered by class to allow that class to remain in its small group without mixing of other classes. I will have schedules and maps and diagrams for everyone, so don't worry right now about trying to figure that out. We will figure all of that out soon. When you come to the office, if you need to handle any business or want to drop your child off late or pick them up early, we ask that you remain in our office vestibule area and handle any communication through our intercom. This way, we can still take care of your needs, but while staying at a safe distance apart. As Mrs. Arrett has explained, there may be times when students are quarantined, classes may be quarantined, groups of students may be quarantined. In that case, Washington PreK students will have access to lessons and materials for at home. We are prepared to send home a learning bag for every student, and in the bag it will have supplies, manipulatives, any kind of materials that your student may need, and a lesson plan. It is going to just be a continuation of what we're doing in the classroom. For those students in need of a device, you will have access to an iPad, and at Meet Your Teacher Night, you can indicate to us whether or not you need a device for your child. In addition to the classroom lesson, your child will have access to several online platforms to supplement their learning. Students will practice using these online platforms at school within the first few weeks, as well as become familiar with the iPad. We will also be ready to share tips and tools on the online platforms to support you in supporting your child. So students will be trained on devices and online platforms within the first few weeks of school. Teachers will begin working on standard analysis to ensure that we're teaching top priority standards. We may also adjust our assessment schedule if necessary due to any quarantine circumstances. We know that there will be learning gaps, and we are prepared to work with your students and you to fill those gaps. Like I mentioned before, we know that communication is critical. We are committed to frequent and ongoing communication with our families. If you haven't already, please request to join our Washington PreK Center Facebook page for frequent updates, pictures, celebrations, announcements. Each teacher at Washington PreK will also have some sort of electronic digital communication process. So whether it be Facebook or Remind or Dojo, they will have a way to communicate with you that it allows for distance. You will sign up for that at Meet Your Teacher Night. So whatever they choose, that's when you'll sign up for that. We want our families involved, and we want you to be part of your child's school experience as much as possible. We want to maintain some of our traditional family events, and we're planning on doing some of them virtual or in other creative styles. Any type of student celebration or honor will be done in a way that you can be part of. Thank you for taking time to become familiar with our protocol. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at my email address. It is fishec@pcps.us or on Facebook Messenger. Thank you so much.